In this episode, I'll be speaking with Cathy Walker, creative designer and founder of Lillybox Interiors. Cathy moved to Sweden from the Caribbean island of St. Lucia to live there full-time in 2009. Lillybox Interiors was established in 2010 and it went public in 2012. Lillybox follows the projects from conceptualization to realization. Through the company-wide network of suppliers and service partners, they can ensure that the project is not just imagined, but becomes a reality. Cathy holds a degree in business and entered the world of interiors purely by accident and through tragedy and a challenge given to her by a close friend. Her career took off almost 20 years ago after she produced and hosted the television program Tropical Lifestyles, which ran for many seasons in the Caribbean. Cathy specializes in creative design and has designed and implemented over 40 hotel, restaurant, office, and upscale private residence projects both in the Caribbean and Europe. She was also a founder and senior partner in one of St. Lucia's leading architectural design companies, CDS. Cathy also contributed to some of the Caribbean's leading interior design magazines, and she is being featured in a number of magazines and newspaper articles, both in the Caribbean and Sweden, where she now resides with her husband and 3 children. Today, Cathy provides insight on interior design in the Caribbean and the differences between creative design for living and for creative use. Thank you, Cathy Walker, Creative Director of Lillybox, joining us from Sweden. Thank you so much again for this interview, talking about absentee ownership, having property overseas, and really dealing with tenants and everything else. Now we're shifting. That was the first part of an interview that we did recently. This is the second part of that same interview, and we rejoined by Cathy Walker, who I've asked her to share with us from an interior design decorator perspective. So Cathy, let's start with, how did you come about to start your interior design company?
That's very interesting. I came about this, I would say, over 25 years ago through tragedy, really. We lost our first child through pregnancy. And it was very difficult for me to get out of that depression. And I started to paint. And then we had a villa in the Caribbean, as you know. And I went down there to renovate the villa. And I had painted the villa in a variety of colors.
I remember that. It was beautiful.
And it was a very creatively done. At the time, I didn't realize what I was doing, and it kind of got a lot of attention. So people were stopping by to look in and asking if they could come in and see the villa. It was like a cottage style, 2 cottages between pool. And then I had a little shop I started below my parents' house, just outside of the city. And that shop was on Swedish rugs that were machine washable, dirt resistant, allergy resistant. And people started to find us. And we had a program, a television program that came in and interviewed me. And this friend of mine said to me, "You're always giving people tips on interiors. Why don't you just start your own thing?" And I was like, "I'm not an interior designer. I have a degree in business. That's what I qualified in." And she was like, "But you're really good. You need to start your own business." So she was challenging me, and it was over like a lot of rum and coke, so
the best decisions are made.
and then the program was released on television, and then my old principal called me up, and that program was being done by his son, and he said to me, "You need to get on television. You are natural. You really need to get on television." I was like, "Why is all of this? Why is the universe throwing all of this at me right now?" So as a joke, we decided to start a television program called Tropical Lifestyles, and started to do these shows in interior design and DIY. I knew nothing about this, nothing apart from this creativity that I didn't realize I had until I started to do all my paintings and, just trying to get out of this dark place I was in. And The program, as you know, went on for many, many seasons. And I got my first job from a very famous hotel in St. Lucia that's always been featured in Condé Nast and all over the place. And I remember going into the project saying to the owner, I'm not an interior designer. And the response was, we don't care. You are actually really good at what you do, and we want you to do this project. So I did the project. And from there, it just kind of took off. So the television program took off, and my career in this took off. And I realized I really loved it. So every time I tried to drift away from it, I found myself going back into it. So now what we do is in Sweden, we work mainly with commercial projects, and we do concepts. So it's not like interior design where, it's like I keep saying to people, we don't work with interior design, we work with creative design. And there's a difference, because we go in and we study companies, and we study the history of the company, who the employees are, who their customers are, where they want to go, what they want to attain by doing this whole journey with their interiors. And then we create a concept around that, which they then can take and market themselves, attract the right employees. And so it's very, very exciting. It's not, every project is very different, and it gives, the results are just incredible. You just keep growing and growing and growing. You never stop growing. So yeah.
No, that's amazing. And what a great story. I mean, again, it just shows, one foot forward, keeping open-mindedness, allowing that creativity to flow. And thanks for correcting me. So it's creative concept. And it's so true in the sense, when I think of again, lifestyle properties, it's an extension of, right? When a person comes into your property, it's an extension of, there's a brand element, or the elements of your brand that's now showcased through that property. And I've seen it in quite a bit of your work. So definitely how you just elaborated on it. It's going, yep, I remember that. Yep, I remember that.
Yeah,
I've seen that unfold with you. So with that, sorry?
What is happening right now is that we're sort of like in this, the social media world that we're living in. You see that being sort of projected onto interiors also, where people want to personalize their interiors. They don't want to just kind of copy paste. They want to have something that reflects themselves, because it's a lot of me, myself, and I. And that is also reflected in the home interiors. So it's very interesting to see how it's developed, and the interior world has developed also to reflect people's personalities, not just at home, but in companies and hotels. So it's, yeah, very cool.
With that, because we do attract a lot of developers to Global Property Connections who are looking to start something new, but they also want that flavor, or that image of themselves projected through their buildings and everything. When choosing a creative director like yourself, or company like Lillybox, what are some things that you would encourage them to consider when they're looking for that good match?
I would say when choosing any interior design firm, you have to ensure that you get a connection with the individuals you're going to be working with, and you have to ensure that they understand the project in which you are about to let them into, because you're about to let them into your world. And a lot of the time, what happens is that interiors tend to reflect personalities, but you have to ensure that it is not the interior company's personality that's being reflected in your interior, unless that is what you have required. Sometimes we like what an interior company does, and we want that to be reflected in our interiors. The way we work, we find, is the complete opposite now. We go in and we create these worlds that the client doesn't even really know exist, based on themselves. When you are choosing a company, especially in the Caribbean, because we're talking a lot about the Caribbean right now, we're just about to relaunch, which I didn't tell you before.
No.
We're just about to relaunch our little development we were doing by the beach.
Oh my goodness, going down to Casimba?
Yeah.
Oh, lovely. That's exciting.
It's very exciting. So we're going to be building 31, townhouses and villas. We're just waiting for the finals. We got final approval, but because of Corona, it lapsed. So we're just reapplied now. So we're hoping within the next few weeks, we'll have the finals, reapproved. But you need to ensure a lot of mistakes I think companies make, especially international companies, is that they bring in interior designers that are not used to the environment. Just like any, they're just not used to the environment. So they come into this environment not knowing what to expect. We have a lot of like strong elements in the Caribbean you need to consider when you're doing your interiors: the sand, the sea, the sun, the wind,
salt, air,
the salt.
Yes.
And then a designer that's used to working in New York or Miami may not necessarily know exactly how to apply different products or what products are suitable for the Caribbean. So that's really important. The same with Europe. When I came here, I had to sort of relearn everything because there are different rules and regulations here for everything we do, especially on the commercial side. So it's really important that the persons doing your project understands the market in which they're doing the project for, and the difference between domestic and commercial. That is the mistake a lot of people make. They don't understand the difference between domestic and commercial. Some products you could use for domestic can go into commercial, but most times you have to ensure that what you're using for commercial is branded for commercial.
And probably one of the biggest reasons for that would be traffic, really, when you think of and use of. If I understand, with commercial versus domestic, you have a heavier.
Correct. There's heavier usage. There's also guarantees to consider. There are different elements you need to consider in the materials, how it reacts in the environment you're working with, how those the textures are taken care of, the materials are taken care of. We love our bleach in the Caribbean, so there's certain materials you cannot just go and throw bleach on. So it's just so much to consider, and people don't understand the nitty-gritty that you need to go into when you're doing a project, especially the sort of projects we work on. We work on massive projects. And most times my partner is just as tiny as I am. And when we walk into these meetings, it's hard in the beginning to get that level of respect you feel that you need to have in order for you to go in and make the decisions and do your job without any sort of hindrance. And it sometimes takes a while before we have to work our way up or say, okay, enough. We are the ones who have to make those decisions, and you guys need to let us make those decisions. So it's not just as simple as people think of putting together a little bit of furniture and fabrics. It's a lot of details involved in it, a lot.
Yeah, for the sounds of it. But I've seen the incredible work that you do, so it's worth it. It's absolutely worth it. Cathy, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for what you've shared with us today. And I hope some people are able to take away some insight from that. And definitely, if they want to be connected to you, they please reach out to us at Global Connections. Reach out to us at Global Property Connections, where we'll be happy to connect you with Cathy Walker to learn more about the creative concepts you talked about and some of the things that you may want to consider as you're about to pursue that development, or maybe changing your rental properties or your home away from home. If you like this video, please press like. If you want to hear about more videos coming, please press the subscribe button. And we hope that we'll see you next time on Global Property Connections podcast. Thank you again, Cathy. So good to see you.
Thank you for having me, Patrice. Nice chatting to you. Bye.